Line today brought lots of moves. Exciting things are happening down over in Santa Clara. I'm excited to tell you about those things. By now, you've probably heard that the San Francisco 49ers have traded for defensive tackle Khalil Davis, not to be confused with Kahlil Davis, who's already on the roster, giving up a future 7th rounder for solid depth. I'm excited to add that there's even more good news that came out today, including the secret weapon heading into the game Sunday against Tampa Bay. The 49ers didn't make a move every fan may have wanted, but what they have done is brilliant. I'm here to tell you about it. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Love talking about the 49ers. Please consider a like and sub. I do genuinely appreciate it. It really does help me out. Listen, the first thing is this. As you probably already heard by now, and I already told you, so if you didn't hear it, you heard it now. The Texans have traded defensive tackle Khalil Davis to the 49ers in exchange for a 2026 7th-round pick. And that's the first piece of news, but there's more when it comes to trades. We're going to come back to what it means that Khalil Davis joined the 49ers, because we have other things that we got to talk about too, like this from Adam Schefter just a couple hours ago. 49ers making another defensive addition. San Francisco is bringing back to Shan Gibson, signing him from to their practice squad per source. Gibson spent 2022 to 2023 seasons with San Francisco, of course. And so I don't need to tell you a great deal about who this guy is. We'll be excited that the depth at safety has been improved. Hufanga has been injured the majority of the season on 2 different sides of him coming back and playing. Hopefully he comes back healthy, and he has not been his old self yet, though, so we would love to see that, of course, right now. In addition to that, it's looking very likely, based on the way that the moves happened and how practice squad things moved around, that Jake Moody is going to be playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. So we should have our kicker back, which is fantastic news. Made some great jokes. If you didn't hear any of his audio clips from the day, he made some great jokes about, getting better at learning how to tackle and things like that. What all of us wanted to hear was, maybe I just won't go for that tackle, or maybe I'll just try to knock him off balance or slow him down, right? Like, we don't want to hear you're going to get better at tackling. You don't need to practice that skill, because it's only going to happen once in a while. And when it does happen, the injury could have been a lot worse, by the way. Let's be real. The injury could have been a lot worse. I want to get to who the secret weapon is coming into this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in just a second. But before we do that, let's break down this Khalil Davis trade a little bit further, because this is a really interesting one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Davis out of Nebraska in the 6th round of the 2020 NFL Draft. This season, he has registered 9 tackles, including 4. Did I say this season or did I say this draft? I don't know. I think I said this draft. This season, he registered 9 tackles, including 4 for a loss, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack through 9 game appearances with the Texans. Played 32% of defensive snaps. So it gives you a little bit of a picture of kind of how regularly he's on the field. Davis has accumulated 43 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 10 quarterback hits, 3 sacks, 2 passes defensed, and a forced fumble across 27 games. Only 1 start during his career with the Buccaneers, Indianapolis Colts, and Texans. So like I said, this isn't the sexy pick that everybody maybe was asking for. This wasn't the DeForest Buckner kind of move, but this was a very important move. This was a good, solid move. I'm going to tell you that. I believe that to be the case because of guys like Javon Hargrave, who you might not see for the rest of the season at all. Guys like Drake Jackson, who never even had a chance all season long. And you needed the depth there, okay? You just needed it. And I'm excited about the young guys. I'm not trying to hate on them at all. They've been incredible and far better than expected in a lot of ways. But we have to also, look at the numbers and just be like, when guys go down, you got to fill those spots. And is this where you wanted the roster to look coming out of the bye week? Probably not. Looked a little bit light. If you look at the way that they set up the initial 53-man roster, it makes sense to pick up another defensive tackle. No one's surprised by that move. Maybe some people surprised by the actual player, but whatever. While this isn't a headline-grabbing acquisition, the 49ers remain focused on building strength from within, counting on key players returning from injury for the season's final stretch. This week, the team opened up the practice window for running back Christian McCaffrey, of course, as you already know, yet to make his 2024 debut due to Achilles tendonitis. Wide receiver Juwan Jennings also resumed practice after missing 2 games with a hip injury. Additionally, defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos and linebacker Drake Greenlaw are expected to contribute in the season's second half. We need YGM back. We need the bodies for sure. And YGM, of course, can play on the edge and the inside. Would love to see him back and healthy. Drake Greenlaw, of course, there's no amount of explanation that would do any kind of justice about what a big deal this is for him to come back and be a part of this football team. There's a really lot of good players that we can get back to strengthen this team. John Lynch said last week, we talked about this quote at the time, but as a good reminder, we loved our team coming into the season, not where we want to be. We're 4-4, but we've got a lot in front of us, and we're just going to take it week by week. One thing this team has shown is the ability under Kyle Shanahan to do is get better throughout the course of the season and play our best ball when it matters most. And that's key there. You have to catch that because I think that's going to come into our secret weapon talk later in the video. Moving on and continuing the discussion around Khalil Davis, though, if I don't sneeze, which might happen. The 49ers, according to David Lombardi, this is David Lombardi's take, I should say, the 49ers beat the clock and add at the position we knew they were targeting, defensive tackle. SF needed rotational depth, particularly to beef up versus the run, and Khalil Davis has been with D'Amico Ryans the past 2 seasons, so he should fit right in to the 49ers scheme. Not going to argue with that take whatsoever. That's why I put it up in the first place. Scouting report on the new 49ers defensive tackle Khalil Davis from a coach who's worked with him. Active, hard worker, stout in the middle, 315, 4.7 40, which is pretty fast for a big man. 1.6 10-yard split, 32.5-inch vertical combination seems to give Kosurik some real moldable clay. Love the take from David Lombardi. I had one more thing that I wanted to say here. But before I do that, when I say secret weapon, what I mean is who's like a person that's going to have a great impact on what happens this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I say secret not because this guy is a secret, but because it seems like this season so far, all of the negativity around him would suggest that people don't believe he's actually getting it done, and I believe we're about to see something take place in the next several games, a stretch that's going to take place. It's just my opinion. You can disagree with me in the comments. I look forward to hearing your takes in the comments as always. I don't always have a chance to reply to all of them, but I read every single comment, and I very much appreciate your guys' takes. But here's the deal, you guys. I know he comes with a lot of hate, but secret weapon heading into Sunday, and I know, I say secret weapon because Christian McCaffrey's not a secret weapon. Secret weapon, Kyle Shanahan. Immediately following the last 5 bye weeks, the 49ers have gone 4-1. I did some digging on this, okay? The last loss, fun fact, Jimmy Garoppolo's comeback from injury game in 2021 against the Colts on a rainy day where he threw for $180, 2 interceptions, had a fumble. Not a good moment. Not a good moment for the quarterback. In those other 4 games that the 49ers won, again, the week immediately following a bye week in the last 5 seasons, the 49ers beat the 6-3 Jags last year, a good Chargers team the year before, a pretty good Rams team the year before that, and a terrible Browns team the year before that. So when you go over the last 5 seasons, the only game that they lost coming out of the bye week was a nasty, ugly Jimmy G game, coming back from a calf injury, not playing his best football, making poor decisions. He himself alone accounted for 3 turnovers in that game. So I like the odds, all right, of Kyle Shanahan coming out of the bye week, especially with all of the weapons that he has available to him, guys like Christian McCaffrey coming back, and everybody's hoping he's going to play. Everyone's feeling mostly optimistic up to this point that he's going to play. I think that's a huge factor. Another piece of this that should be said, to be fair, is Kyle Shanahan does pretty well beyond the game after the bye week, he does pretty well after the bye week in general. In 2019, the 49ers went 10-3 after the bye. Injury-ridden 2020, they were 2-4 after the bye. Bad season. That season was a wash way before the bye. 2021, they were 8-4 after the bye. 2022, they were 9-0 after the bye, of course. And 2023, they were 7-2 after the bye. That's how the 49ers have done in the second half, quote unquote, of the season. That bodes well, and that's why I say that the secret weapon, the secret, not so secret, but kind of seems to be secret because everybody seems to think that the 49ers need to get rid of Kyle Shanahan, and I see comments like that all the time, that they need to fire Shanahan. He apparently is the secret weapon going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Kyle coming out of a bye with a bunch of players coming back from injury, guys getting healthy, guys with extra rest. Let's not forget Jordan Mason hopefully coming back more healthy with his shoulder injury. That would be a huge, huge deal. So you've got a lot of guys coming back. And of course, you have all your main guys have had a little bit of rest. This is really the first time we're going to see like true, comfortable Trent Williams football, in my opinion. Although he's had a pretty good season, I'm not trying to say, he's the greatest of all time in left tackle. I'm just trying to say he came in, it was kind of last minute for the Jets, and he was in the season, and now we're going to see, I think, the healthiest version of Trent Williams going forward for the next several weeks. So that's great. We could really use him to not have any injuries this season. That would be fantastic if that could happen. The last couple seasons he's missing a couple games here and there. So I'm optimistic about it. I'm fired up about it. I think this game sets up very, very well for the 49ers, who for once have a rest advantage. I think it's a good situation. I think Kyle Shanahan coming out of the bye, I think players getting injured or getting healthy, is fantastic news. So that's what I have for you today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Look forward to joining you there as always. What a time to be alive.